Hi there, Simon from simonwoods.com here. Spanish whites again. I did some Spanish whites in the last video. These 5 are all from the same region though, and I didn't include anything from that region in the last one. And the region is Rueda. It should be more famous, and it's not because the Spanish aren't particularly good about promoting anything apart from Rioja and sherry. Sorry Spaniards, I know that's not strictly true, but to the outside world there is Rioja and not much else in Spain. Anyway, Rueda, if you know that there is a wine region called Ribera del Duero, and Rueda is not all that far away from Ribera del Duero, top end of Spain, high up, and Ribera del Duero produces these quite beefy, warm climate reds. Interesting then that Rueda can produce some really nice Sauvignon Blanc, but for me the beauty of Rueda is the wines made from the Verdejo grape, which for me reminds me a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc. If you imagine Sauvignon Blanc with a little bit of extra flesh on it and maybe some of that waxy Semillon character, it can remind you of white Bordeaux with age. If it's been aged in an oak barrel, it can remind you of Sauvignon Blanc if it's unoaked. And I've got a whole range of them here, including a sweet one to finish with. 3 wines from one particular winery, which is Francois Lurton. Now the Lurton brothers, Hermanos Lurton, as they will be known in Spain. I think they've been working in this region since about 1992. And they started off with Sauvignon Blanc and made some terrific Sauvignon Blanc, and then discovered Verdejo and got really excited about it. So I've got like a regular unoaked one, an oaked one, and a sweet one from them. This is the unoaked one, and it is just like Bordeaux Sauvignon Blanc. It's got some of that slightly nutty citrus fruit, tinned pear, and not quite on the smokiness that you'll get with maybe an oaked version. But yes, if someone had said that were white Bordeaux, I'd very easily have believed them from how it smells. Let's taste it. Yeah. Almost a dead ringer. Maybe if there's anything that gives it away and says it's not from Bordeaux, it's that extra little bit of flesh. Simple unoaked Bordeaux can have a little sharpness on the finish, but here there's a bit more flesh, but it's that tinned pear character. Really nice, good summer drink. Let's see if this one's the same. The Vega de la Reina Rueda Verdejo 2008. From the Marcos de Concordia group. They're well known for what they do in various bits of the Douro Valley. They've got a wine called Durius. And let's see what this one's like. A bit more flesh here, and it's a year older, is it? Year older, yeah. And maybe there's still some of that pear character here. But the first thing I noticed is rhubarb. Unusual thing to notice in a wine, but yeah, get that rhubarb. And maybe it doesn't feel like it's going to be as fresh as the one before, but it feels like it's going to have a bit more interesting stuff going on. Let's taste it. Really interesting. It's still got this crisp, zesty backbone of acidity, but then it's got this quite fat fruit on top of it. But then rhubarb. You imagine rhubarb for me is a weird flavour because it's at once quite full in flavour, but then because of that tartness, big and then tapering off. And it's not that the finish fades away when I say tapering off. It's almost as if someone just cleaned off the finish. So you've got a nice zestiness. It is showing a little bit of age. Maybe it would have been better, I don't know, 6 months ago. But a step up in complexity for me from the Lurton. Let's see whether there's this next one. Tres Olmos Verdejo. Verdejo Lias. And Lias means lees. It's been aged on the sludge left from fermentation, which should add a bit more richness, a bit more yeasty, bready character to a wine. Back to 2009 vintage, maybe I should have swapped these round, but hey. And that lees aging is giving this extra air edge compared with, I think the Lurtons had a bit of it, but here it's adding a bit more, yeah, yeasty character, bready character. This is sort of fresh bread dough character, unbaked bread. That's what dough is, isn't it? Yeah, I know. And it feels, I get the smell of sulfur dioxide here. It feels like it's a young wine. It's still got quite a lot of its best months ahead of it. I don't think it's a wine to age by any means, but we'll talk about aging when we get on to the next one. And there's more plum, pear character here. Plums, maybe not so much the rhubarb that I was getting on the one before, but yes, it's a English Victoria plum character. Yes, it's got a bit more, that lees aging has added richness and texture to the wine. So whereas the first one was nice, clean and crisp, but simple, this one's got a bit more texture, a bit more layers of flavour, and this is creaminess and nuttiness, and then the fruit comes in, but you're still left with this nice, clean, fresh finish. And yes, I think it's certainly got another year ahead of it. 6 months from now, have it with Christmas turkey. It seems we've got the weight to stand up to something like that. Let's try Lurton wine number 2, Cuesta de Oro. And this one is 2008 vintage. It's been barrel fermented. Now, I've seen some barrel fermented Ruedas. There was another part of the Lurton family was involved in a winery called Bellandrade Lurton, and I think they started probably about the same time. I mean, if one lot of Lurtons go to Rueda, wouldn't be surprised if the others ended up there. And but this Bellandrade Lurton, they started off from right from the onset with doing barrel fermentation on their wines, and they were fabulous. And they were good when they were young, but when you had them when they were about 5 years old and even older, they aged beautifully. Ended up cross between Burgundy and Bordeaux. Lovely wine. I know I said that in the last one about Valdeorras, but something of the same character. You've got this freshness, you've got this tangy fruit, but you've got the minerality as well. Let's see if this one, I know it's probably a bit young to start showing its true colours, but let's have a see. Well, you've got a nice honeyed edge from the oak aging here. It's adding smokiness. It's bringing out the richer side, almost like the guava and passion fruit end. Smells good. There's a lovely richness there, and it's a rich, confident character. Sometimes you come across wines that have been barrel fermented, whites I'm talking about, and there's barrel fermentation and not much else. But here you feel that underneath that sort of smoky vanilla sheen, there is a like plushness of fruit. This this exotic, the guava edge mixed with the keener, cleaner apple, and yeah, a bit more rhubarb here. Some of that plum character, and then the finish is quite fleshy, but it's got this backbone to keep it fresh. Really nice combination. Feels like this is a wine that won't be at its best for another couple of years and has the potential to go on for a bit longer. Speaking about a couple of years, can't really tell from this bottle, but the final one is 2006 vintage. You can only tell it from the cork. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll see if I can zoom in. But 2006 vintage, it just says Vinho de Mesa, table wine on it, and it's de puta madre, and if you are of a gutter-like language, then you might know what that means. I'll just put it this way: if you think of another slightly blue English expression, including the word mother, it means it's a real of a wine. In other words, they thought it was quite good. It's made from late harvest grapes. I don't think there's any botrytis influence here, so they're leaving the grapes on the vine for quite a time, letting them get really rich and concentrated, maybe shrivel up a little bit, and then making a sweet wine from it. How sweet? Let's have a see. Ooh! And what it feels like one of the things that they've done is almost made it in a style where they've not bothered keeping it too fresh. And there's like an oxidative character here, almost turning to, not quite sherry, but it feels like there's a dry, rich, nutty character. It smells like it's going to be intriguing. It doesn't smell like it's going to be too sweet either. Now, I was saying before, no, that wasn't before. Saying in the previous video, the white Rioja, this has that smell of nutty white Rioja. So it's got these characters of honey and richness, but it's not out and out sweet. In fact, it's only just about sweet. I think it's about 20 grams of sugar, 20 grams of residual sugar per litre, and you're left with this clean, firm, nutty, interesting, intriguing wine. The sort of wine that you'll put on a table, half the table will polish it off and half the table will go, oh, I don't like that. So the other half who like it will nick their glasses, because I think that's a terrific wine. Lots going on there, and it's got the fruit flavours coming through, it's got fruit ripeness, and it's got some of the slightly raisiny late harvest character, but it's got this nice bit of oxidation which is adding toastiness, nuttiness. Really interesting. Not sweet enough for puddings, lovely with blue cheeses, I imagine. Hard cheeses as well. Very interesting set of five wines. I'm enjoying them. See you soon.